Do you want to have kids?
Yeah.
Children. Okay, mom, just take it easy a little bit. We've been dating for 4 months. Just ease it down a little bit.
You guys, Ingi's parent is putting these two in the hot seat, and it has nothing to do with her being black, but everything to do with their delusion. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We're here to discuss 90 Day Fiancé the other way, specifically Corona and Ingi. These two only had one scene in this episode, but I think that it gave us a lot to unpack. So we're just gonna jump straight into it. As always, before we do, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. The day has arrived for Corona to finally meet Ingi's parents, and there's a lot of nerves around, especially because Ingi reminds us that he has never presented anyone to his family, and he is really close with his family. He highlights that his parents are older, they're in their 80s. He's the youngest of his siblings. They have all started their own families or gotten married. So it's a big deal that he's bringing someone home. Overall, he's really chipper, and if he's nervous, he's doing a really good job in hiding it. However, Corona, in her soft partnering era, let it slide that he was optimistic. In this moment, she is so annoyed. So while Ingi is trying to keep the environment light, Corona is just annoyed by his blind optimism, and she starts throwing out all these hypotheticals. And so Corona is making it clear that she thinks his blind optimism is annoying, that it's not realistic. He tells her, listen, I've introduced you to other people in my life and they all love you, so I'm not worried.
Do we have to do it?
Yeah, we have to do it.
And so when we see them in the car ride over there, Corona reveals that this is also her first time meeting a partner's parents. So I understand why she is nervous. I just feel like she is really quick to be a little mean to him. And maybe I'm reading too much into it because I'm not someone that can handle sarcasm at every moment. And she does this thing where she starts throwing out hypotheticals of the worst possible situation. And I think that's normal. But I think that you have 3 chances to do it before I'm all right, you need to stop talking. She's throwing out all these things. Of course, a real one is her fear that they've never had black people in his house. Okay. But then she starts throwing hypotheticals of do we have to see them today? What if I break my leg on my way there? Because she was in heels and there was snow out. And he's well, they'll just meet us at the hospital. And she's really? And I know that she's, trying to get the nerves out. But on the other side of it, if my partner is constantly throwing hypotheticals of ways to get out of meeting my family, I'd be then we don't have to meet them. Let's not waste this chance because they've never met someone. This is a big deal. If you don't want to do it, say the word. So I don't know. You guys can tell me what you thought. I wasn't a fan of this moment. But I also don't want to police how she lets out nerves. It isn't my cup of tea. So when they arrive to the house, Ingi's brother greets them, and this is someone that Corona has met and she has liked. So Corona's relieved to see a familiar face, but shortly after, his mother comes up the steps, and I was oh my god, she's holding flowers. I thought that was so sweet. Corona gives her a hug. She's a little awkward because I guess she didn't expect this nice gesture. Then his dad follows shortly after, and they share pleasantries, and he hugs her, and he's, impressed at the Icelandic that she knows. He's giving compliments to Ingi, saying wow, you did good. She's pretty, So I'm okay, so far so good. Corona looks so shocked that they are so kind. And you guys, again, I don't know this girl, but I get the feeling that she wanted something to go bad because it would add a flair and it would be another story for her to have, because she came into this with all these fears that them being kind is kind of a letdown. I could also be talking out of my butt. That's just the vibe that I get from her, that she's oh, that's it? She does highlight that, wow, now I get why Ingi is the way he is. He was in a very happy home and they all have similar energy. And so while she's in the kitchen with Ingi and his mom, his dad and his brother are at the table and they're just looking at them and saying, wow, they look so happy. It's just so pure. So when they pan back to the kitchen, the mom is just like, wow, you're so pretty, and starts touching Corona's hair. And it's like, wow, how do you do this? And Corona's like, I just, roll it. And she's like trying to keep her cool. She doesn't make it a big deal because I don't think they get it culturally that you don't touch a black woman's hair. I think that Corona handled herself really well in this scene. But just a PSA, do not touch people. Do not touch people's hair without their consent. It doesn't matter if you have great intentions. People don't want to be touched, okay? Keep your hands to yourself because some people are not going to have pleasant reactions, and that's their right. So they're at the table, they're sharing some laughs, and they're like, Corona, so how long are you going to stay this time? And Corona's like, forever? And Ingi has a weird expression, like this is the first time that he's heard it. And when I saw that, I was like, wait, he didn't tell his family that these two are playing house? Like, why would you set her up like this? Why introduce her to your family if they don't have the full story? And so the follow-up question is, oh, really? You're gonna stay here forever? Where? And that's when Ingi speaks up like, well, she's gonna move here, so she's gonna move with me. And they're all like, oh, because, that's rather quick. But also in their eyes, this is a grown-ass man. They're like, oh, well, that means they're really serious. They're moving on to the next step, right? Because why else would you move in with someone, right? And in her confessional, Corona is like, I'm shocked that he didn't tell them. But at the same time, should I be shocked? Because he hasn't posted me on his socials. And so the parents are doing a great job in asking further questions. The problem here is that I don't think Ingi and Corona are on the same page, and it shows in their body language. Ingi's like, well, I'm presenting you someone now because I met her and it was different and I want to see what the future holds. Very nice, very vague. And when they asked this question, Corona was like, yeah, tell us. Why now? Why me? And I'm like, I know it looked cute to them, but I was like, girl, you should have gotten these answers before you moved your life across the world. So Corona's friends aren't asking enough questions, in my opinion. So again, this is a grown individual. It's not like he's in his early 20s. They're like, oh my God, finally. He's growing up. So they're like, we're getting old. We want extra grandchildren. When are you guys going to get started? Do you want grandchildren? And Ingi wants to dig a hole and crawl in it. Corona's like, yeah. And I'm like, girl, you are a smart girl. Use your words. It's obvious that they either haven't discussed it at all or they have discussed it and it didn't go well because they're like avoiding each other's gaze like the plague. And so Ingi in his interview is like, whoa, everybody needs to slow down. We've only been dating for 4 months. Like, everything he says tells me that he didn't ask Corona to move there. Because at every step, there's hesitation. It doesn't sound like a joint decision was made. And in her confessional, she's like, while I would love to have kids, I want a ring first before we even get to that. That's what we should be talking about. You and your man should have been discussing this, particularly before you left school, your home, your life. What are we doing? Yeah, I have a strong feeling that big fights are coming their way because they're not on the same page. And I don't think that they're being honest, both of them, about where they stand. And it's going to blow up in their faces. I will be keeping up. If you will be keeping up, make sure to subscribe. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.